Hey there, Kipsters. We're looking at the CST practice test. Looking at questions 31 through 35. Starting with 31, utility company estimates that a power line repair job will take a total of 24 person hours. If 3 workers are assigned to the job, how long will it take them to complete the job according to this estimate? So the first thing I remember is that person hours tells me how long will it take if just one person does it. If one person does the job, it's going to take 24 hours. But there's not one person working, there's actually 3 people working. So if it's going to take one person 24 hours, and you have 3 people, that means you get to divide the work between 3 people. And 24 divided by 3 means that in total, it will take each of them 8 hours if they're all working together. And that's the right answer. Question 32. What is the volume of the rectangular solid shown below? You're given 3 pieces of information: 2 inches, which is the height, 5 inches, which is the length, 3 inches, which is the width. You might have seen or recall what you learned about volume in 6th grade. This is not something we've done in 7th grade because I don't think it's a high priority. But hopefully you're able to figure out, okay, I just need to use these 3 pieces of information to figure out the volume. If I wanted to figure out the area of just this face on the top, I would just do length times width, and that would give me just the top of the solid. But if I want to find the volume, I need to multiply all those 3 things together, because volume is going to be length times width times height. And if I multiply all those things together, that's really length, which is 5, times width, which is 3, times height, which is 2. 5 times 3 is 15, times 2. 15 times 2 is 30. And the volume is 30 cubic inches, which is answer C. Next, 33. Elisa divided the staircase figure below into rectangles to help determine its area. All measurements are in millimeters. What is the total area of the figure? So this seems like a complicated shape, but actually I can see that this is really just 4 different rectangles. And if I want to find the total area of the figure, all I need to be able to do is use what I know about area, which is area is length times width for each rectangle. So if I can figure out the length and the width of each rectangle, I can definitely figure out the area. So first I can do this square. The length is 5, the width is 5, so 5 times 5, this square has an area of 25. Next rectangle, the length of this rectangle, this one right here, is 5, but the width is not 5 because it's really 5 plus another 5. So it's really 5 times 10. And so the area of this rectangle is 50. For this rectangle, I can see that the length is 5, but the width is now 5 bigger than the last one. So that was, all of this was 10. Now I have an extra 5, so 10 plus 5 is 15. If I have 5, that's the length, times 15, that's the width. 5 times 15 is 75, and the area of that rectangle is 75. Last, you can see that this rectangle here has a length of 5, and the width, which is all of this, is really 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, which is 20. And the length of 5 times the width of 20, 5 times 20, is 100. So I have the area of this rectangle, this rectangle, this rectangle, and this rectangle. If I add them all together, 100 plus 75 plus 50 plus 25 equals 250. And that's the total area of the figure. Moving on. Question 34. In the figure below, D is the midpoint of AC, and BD is perpendicular to AC. So I see a triangle here and I see a right angle. This makes me think I'm going to be using the Pythagorean theorem. As I'm looking at this, I can see that D is the midpoint of AC. So if D is the midpoint of AC, that must mean that since it's telling me that this whole thing's 30 centimeters, that just this leg should be 15. And I know that BD is perpendicular to AC, and perpendicular means it's going to form a right angle, which it actually already did in the picture. So I see a right angle here. And it's asking what is the length of BD? That's this side. So to figure out the length of BD, I'm going to need to use the Pythagorean theorem. And to do that, I know one leg of the right triangle is 15. I know the other leg is the one that I'm looking for, so I'm going to label that B. And the leg, or the hypotenuse I have, which is 25 centimeters, I can see that my hypotenuse is 25 centimeters. So that's all I need to be able to do to plug in this information into the Pythagorean theorem, which states that the sum of the square of the legs, a squared plus b squared, equals the square of the hypotenuse, c squared. So a squared is 15 squared, plus b squared is what I'm looking for, equals c squared, which is 25 squared. And I'll need to solve this. 15 squared, 15 times 15 is 225, plus b squared equals 25 squared. 25 squared equals 625. That's 25 times 25. And if I subtract to cancel this constant, subtract 225, subtract 225, b squared equals 400. And so in order to solve this, I need to find the square root of b squared. The square root of 400, b is equal to 20. So if this small leg is 15, the hypotenuse is 25, b is equal to 20, which is answer choice D. Last question for this video is about scale. Mr. Gray is planning to fly an airplane from Smithsville straight to Sandia. So I have a map going from Smithsville to Sandia. It's showing me a scale that 1 inch is equal to 40 miles. So if I were to draw that on the map, looks like this is about 1 inch, this is 40 miles, and then there's extra. So it's 40 miles and extra. The distance from Smithville to Sandia measures 1.5 inches on the map. What is the actual distance from Smithville to Sandia in miles? So the first thing I can do is just estimate. Just looking at the map, this looks more than an inch to me, because here's 1 inch, that's about an inch. I know this is going to be more than 40. I can cross out A. It's going to be more than 40. So it's got to be B, C, or D. Next, I'll use an actual proportion. I know that my scale says that 1 inch is equal to 40 miles. I can write a proportion for the scale drawing because I want to figure out 1.5 inches would be how many miles. And so I can cross multiply and divide to solve this proportion. 1 times x really is just x, and 40 times 1.5 I'll have to multiply. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 4 is 20. Skip a spot. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 4 is 4. Add them up. 8, 0, 0. I have to move my decimal one place. Oops, my mistake. 4 plus 2 is 6. And so 60.00, x really equals 60. And so what this is saying is in the real world, the distance from Smithville to Sandia is 60 miles. Going back to my picture, that should make sense. This is 40 miles. You have to go an extra 20 miles to get to Sandia. So in total, this is 60 miles.